Picture this, a twin island nation famous for steel drums, vibrant festivals, and stunning beaches is suddenly being hailed as the Caribbean's next energy powerhouse. We're diving into Trinidad and Tobago's remarkable story today. This isn't your typical business update. This is about how a strategic location and decades of preparation are finally paying off in a massive way. ExxonMobil has just committed over $2 billion to Trinidad's energy future, and the ripple effects are already being felt across the islands. But what's really driving this transformation? How did Trinidad position itself to become the region's oil kingpin? And most importantly, what does this mean for the people who call these islands home? Stay with me as we explore this fascinating story of opportunity, investment, and island ambition. Segment 1. Trinidad's Energy Foundation. Here's something many people don't realize. Trinidad and Tobago has been in the energy game for over a century. This isn't some overnight discovery. It's the culmination of decades of smart infrastructure development. While other Caribbean nations were starting from zero, Trinidad was quietly building something impressive. World-class refineries already processing crude oil, LNG terminals shipping natural gas globally, a skilled workforce with generations of energy experience. And here's the kicker: vast deep-water reserves that remained largely unexplored. When global energy markets became increasingly volatile, with supply disruptions from Eastern Europe and ongoing Middle East tensions, suddenly everyone started looking westward. And Trinidad? They were ready. The infrastructure was there. The expertise was there. The reserves were there. All they needed was the right partner with deep pockets and global reach. Segment 2. Exxon's Calculated Gamble. Exxon. Mobil doesn't make impulsive decisions. Every investment is analyzed, scrutinized, and stress-tested. So when they committed $2.2 billion to Trinidad's offshore exploration, you know they saw something extraordinary. What exactly convinced them? First, the geological surveys suggest Trinidad's southeastern waters contain reserves comparable to Guyana's massive discoveries. We're talking about billions of barrels of untapped potential. Second, Trinidad's government rolled out the red carpet competitive tax structures, streamlined permitting, and genuine partnership opportunities that make doing business here attractive. Third, and this is crucial, location, location, location. Trinidad sits perfectly positioned for exports to North America and South America, with established shipping routes and strategic proximity to major markets. But perhaps most importantly, unlike other regional players, Trinidad doesn't need to build everything from scratch. The foundation is already solid. Segment 3. The Human Impact. Now let's talk about what this really means for real people living real lives. Imagine you're a young professional in Port of Spain who's been watching friends leave for opportunities abroad. Suddenly, there are thousands of new positions opening up, not just in oil drilling, but in engineering, logistics, hospitality, and technology support. Towns like Point Fortin and San Fernando are experiencing something they haven't seen in years: genuine economic optimism. Local suppliers are signing contracts. Construction projects are breaking ground. Housing markets are revitalizing. For families who weathered the tough years of economic uncertainty, this feels like more than just job creation. It represents renewed hope, the chance to build careers at home instead of seeking opportunities elsewhere. Young Trinidadians are enrolling in technical training programs, preparing for careers in an industry that could define their nation's future for generations. Segment 4. The Challenges Ahead. But let's be completely honest about the potential pitfalls here. History teaches us that resource booms can be double-edged swords. Countries blessed with natural wealth sometimes struggle with what economists call the resource curse: corruption, inequality, and overdependence on a single industry. Environmental groups are raising legitimate questions about marine ecosystem protection in Trinidad's pristine waters. Community advocates want transparency in how oil revenues will be managed and distributed. The big question everyone's asking: will Trinidad learn from both the successes and mistakes of other oil-rich nations? Can they build a sustainable economy that benefits everyone, not just a privileged few? The jury's still out, but the conversations happening now will shape the answers. Segment 5. Regional Energy Leadership. Here's what's really fascinating. Trinidad isn't operating in isolation. This is part of a broader Caribbean energy renaissance that's reshaping global energy dynamics in ways most people haven't fully grasped yet. Let's zoom out and see the bigger picture. Guyana has already shattered expectations. going from zero oil production to becoming one of the world's fastest-growing oil producers in just 5 years. Their success proved that small Caribbean nations can attract major international investment and compete on the global stage. Suriname is following a similar path, with Apache Corporation and Total making significant offshore discoveries. French Guyana is exploring its potential. Even Barbados is investigating renewable energy partnerships that could make it a regional clean energy hub. But here's where Trinidad's story becomes truly compelling. While these other nations are building their energy sectors from scratch, Trinidad is leveraging decades of existing infrastructure to become the region's energy services powerhouse. Think about it strategically. Trinidad already operates one of the world's largest LNG export facilities. They have established petrochemical plants that can process raw materials from multiple Caribbean sources. Their ports can handle massive tankers and specialized equipment. Their workforce has generational expertise in energy operations. This means Trinidad isn't just competing with Guyana or Suriname. They're positioning themselves to support and service the entire region's energy boom. When Guyanese oil needs refining, Trinidad has the facilities. When Suriname's gas requires processing, Trinidad has the technology. When any Caribbean energy project needs skilled workers, Trinidad has the talent pool. The geopolitical implications are enormous. For decades, the Caribbean has been energy dependent, importing fuel and expertise from distant markets. Now suddenly, this region is becoming energy self-sufficient and even export-capable. Major global powers are taking notice. The United States sees strategic value in having reliable energy partners in its own hemisphere, especially as relationships with traditional suppliers become more complicated. European nations, still dealing with energy security concerns following the Ukraine crisis, are actively seeking diversified supply chains. Even China and India are establishing energy partnerships with Caribbean nations as part of their long-term resource strategies. Trinidad is transforming from a tourist destination to a strategic energy partner that could influence global energy flows for the next several decades. Section 6. Voices from the Ground. Now let me share some real stories that illustrate what this transformation looks like when you're actually living through it. Meet Marcus Thompson, a marine engineer from Scarborough, Tobago, who spent 8 years working on oil rigs in the North Sea and Gulf of Mexico. 2 years ago, he made a decision that would have seemed impossible before. He came home to take a senior position with ExxonMobil's Trinidad operations. For the first time in my career, I can use my international experience to build something meaningful in my own backyard, Marcus tells me. He's now leading safety protocols for deepwater operations, training local crews who might otherwise have had to leave the islands to find similar opportunities. Marcus's story isn't unique. Brain drain, the exodus of educated Caribbean professionals to North America and Europe, has been a persistent challenge for decades. But now, for the first time in a generation, there's a reverse migration happening. Trinidadian engineers, geologists, and project managers who built careers abroad are returning home with world-class expertise. Then there's Maria Rodriguez from San Fernando, whose journey illustrates the ripple effects of major energy investment. 3 years ago, she was struggling to make ends meet with a small food cart outside the local market. When she heard about the increasing number of energy workers coming to the area, she saw an opportunity. Maria took out a small business loan and launched Island Flavors Catering, initially just her sister, and a rented kitchen, preparing meals for offshore crews and construction teams. Today, her business employs 23 people from her community, operates from 2 locations, and has contracts with multiple energy service companies. This isn't just about me making money, Maria explains. I'm employing single mothers, recent graduates, people who were struggling to find work. The energy boom gave me a chance, and now I can give chances to others. But let's be honest about the other side of this story. Not everyone is celebrating these changes. I spoke with David Charles, a fisherman from Maya Row whose family has worked these waters for 4 generations. He's concerned about how increased offshore activity might affect traditional fishing grounds and marine ecosystems that his community depends on. We support development, David says, but we need guarantees that our way of life won't be destroyed in the process. The sea has fed our families for generations. We can't lose that. There are also concerns about housing costs rising as energy workers move to previously affordable communities. Some longtime residents worry about cultural changes as their neighborhoods become more transient and commercially focused. Dr. Kamal Singh, an economist at the University of the West Indies, puts it this way. Every major economic transformation creates winners and losers. The key is ensuring that the benefits are shared broadly enough that the entire society moves forward together. What's striking is that, despite these legitimate concerns, there's an undeniable energy, if you'll pardon the pun, in communities across Trinidad and Tobago. For the first time in years, young people are talking about staying home after graduation instead of emigrating. Parents are encouraging their children to pursue technical education in energy-related fields. Even in communities not directly involved in oil and gas, there's a sense that something significant is happening. New restaurants opening, construction projects starting, infrastructure being upgraded. So here's the million-dollar question, or should I say the billion-dollar question. Is Trinidad's oil boom a golden opportunity or a dangerous gamble with the nation's future? Looking at the evidence, this seems to be more than just another resource extraction story. Trinidad appears to be building something sustainable, leveraging existing strengths, developing local expertise, and creating diversified opportunities that extend far beyond oil drilling. But history is full of cautionary tales about resource-rich nations that fail to translate natural wealth into long-term prosperity. The key difference might be Trinidad's approach. Instead of starting from zero, they're building on decades of energy sector experience and established infrastructure. The question isn't really whether Trinidad can succeed, it's whether they can succeed inclusively. Can they manage this transformation in a way that benefits fishing communities like David's alongside energy engineers like Marcus? Can they maintain their cultural identity while embracing economic modernization? Can a small island nation successfully navigate the complexities of global energy politics while protecting both its people and its environment? The next 5 years will likely provide those answers. This story is just getting started, and I have a feeling that Trinidad's next chapter is going to be absolutely fascinating to watch unfold. Whether it becomes a model for sustainable resource development or a cautionary tale about the challenges of rapid growth, it's going to teach us important lessons about how small nations can thrive in an interconnected world. Thanks for joining me on this journey today. I genuinely appreciate you taking the time to explore these complex topics with me. I'll see you in the next one, where we'll continue exploring how local stories illuminate global patterns. Until then, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep thinking about how the changes happening around the world might be closer to home than you realize.